Thank you for coming with such a freezing cold. I'm Adrien. I do conversion rate optimization and marketing as a freelance. And tonight I'll talk to you about web personalization. That's an awful word to say in English for me, and I'm going to say it a lot of times, so thank you for your understanding. So 6 behaviors to personalize user experience. Just to give you an overview of the talk, I will briefly explain the reason why you can raise your conversion rates with personalization and what elements you can personalize. But I will mainly focus on the how you can personalize, and by how I mean what data you can retrieve from visitors from visitors to segment and personalize upon these segments. So the reason why you should create web personalization campaigns. Well, imagine that someone type in Google Hatha Yoga Paris, or even something more specific like Hatha Yoga in 5th arrondissement. It happens that you're doing Hatha Yoga in 5th arrondissement, and people land on your website, and the headline says, we're doing Hatha Yoga classes every day on in Paris 5th arrondissement. So that's just likely that the visitor will think, okay, that's exactly what I need, and okay, this is what he was looking for. So it's a great first impression. So basically, that's what you want to make as a first impression. You want to provide a relevant content, a relevant headline, so that when people arrive on your website, it just raises desires in them, and it's a better user experience, and it surely helps with conversions. Just a point I would like to insist on at the beginning of the talk is who is it for? Well, it's not only just for e-commerce business. It's also good for SaaS startups and lead generation website. It's true that for e-commerce, it's really impressive in terms of results, and I think that Amazon's make something like 35% of their revenue based on their recommendation engine. So it's great. It's really part of personalization, by the way. But also, if you're doing, for example, lead generation, 82% of prospects, according to Marketing Sherpa, say that a content that would be targeted to their industry is more valuable than a generic content. And if you think about it, it's just like in real life. If you have a SaaS service or product, and you're trying to sell it to someone in, say, the car industry, well, if you have references in the car industry, it's a good start. Well, if you don't, you don't. But if you do, you should tell it loud and quick. So basically, that's kind of the same on your website. If you have something that is targeted to the visitor, you should show it first. So, yep. Just a thing, a quote I like from Don Draper, people tell you who they are if we listen, but we ignore it because we want them to be who we want them to be. And, well, it doesn't have to be difficult. Most of marketers understand the value of web personalization, but actually many of them find it either time-consuming or difficult to implement. Well, I'll try to show you in a few minutes ways to personalize that are quite straightforward and actionable. So just a word on the tools and the software to personalize. Most A/B testing tools provide a personalization feature. I use Bimples, which is a French startup. There are many tools on the market, like HubSpot, which is famous. And besides software, I use cookies on a regular basis to store values. and I'll show you an example later on. So briefly, what elements you can personalize. If there is one thing to remember, the copy. The copy, all your text message on your landing pages are the first thing people read when they land on your pages. So if there is one thing to personalize, copy and text message. Well, for example, this is a Dropbox page for business. And well, it has to be different than the web page for consumers, because when you're a business and you're thinking about hosting your files on a Dropbox, well, the first thing that comes in mind is, okay, is it secure? I mean, really secure? This has to be, because, well, this has to be confidential, and this is really important for businesses. So this word safe, secure, you can read it throughout the page, and all kinds of reassuring elements are made to reassure people landing on this page. I'll show you another example with image and copy. Well, this is a startup here, and the images of a hardware device and an app support dramatically the headline. So in case of personalization, we'll see an example later on. You may want to personalize the copy and the image for different segments of audience. And other elements you may want to tweak for different segments of audience are the navigation menus, the sidebar modules if you have like 2 or 3 column layouts in your website, and forms. So really now the point I want to spend some time on. What do you know about your anonymous visitors? What we want to know is who they are and what they look for. Group them into relevant segments and then personalize our web pages so that it appeals to each segment. And if you think about it, it's, well, marketing becomes easier, because instead of writing one message for every single potential customer, you can write different sentences, different message for each one, tailored for each one of your segment of audience. So, first tip, landing pages. Just a quick side note, I love using landing pages as a segmentation criteria. Just a quick side note. A few years back, if you remember about it, we had access to all keywords data in Google Analytics. We knew when people typed in Google a request and clicked and would land on your site, we would know about the keyword. And this data is almost completely hidden now by Google. So it's kind of a pain, because when we were analyzing this kind of data, we would know, okay, they are looking for, I don't know, female shoes or hatha yoga in 5th arrondissement, but you know it for sure. Now you don't have access to this data. So why do I talk about landing page? When you create landing page, and by landing page, I'm talking specifically about deep landing page, not the home page. But if you're marketing a service for a specific audience, you are likely to use a tool like Unbounce, maybe landing page tool, to build landing page. And this landing page is created with a subset of keywords in mind. So you say, okay, we want to rank for Hatha Yoga Paris, Hatha Yoga 5th arrondissement Paris. And so with this subset of keywords, you build your landing page, okay? So basically, you don't have access to the data that Google hides, but you know that when people land on your Hatha Yoga 5th arrondissement landing page, you know that basically this is you know what they're interested in. And this is what I want to come to. Let's take an example now. This is a construction service company. They provide 2 kinds of services for professionals and services for consumers. And this has nothing to do with each other. Well, the service for consumers has the word home, like maison in French, throughout the page. It's quite simple to understand, and it talks to consumers only. And the other page on the left, B2B, is really for professionals. It has to do with compliance, with the norms, and it's complex. Well, if you're not in the field, you don't get it, and consumers don't understand anything of it. So you don't have to mix it. So what we did with my partner Thomas Porel, we built an A/B test for 6 weeks, and based on the landing page, we created 2 navigation menus. And one menu was for consumers, and one menu was for professionals. And well, they were customized each one of them for consumer services and professional services. And it appeared that 28%, we got a 28% raise in conversions. So pretty nice result. And yeah. Final word on landing pages. Another reason to create more landing pages is if you build more landing pages, you will have more diversity on your pages and then finer targeting. So you will be even more able to use this as a segmentation criteria. Sorry. Second set of data you can use to segment and personalize. Keywords used to find you. So I just told you a few minutes ago that keywords are hidden from Google. Well, it's not the case for 100%. You still have access to 5 to 10%, so you can use it to know what people are looking for. And if you do AdWords advertising or any advertising involving keywords, you can retrieve the keywords, so you know what people are looking for, and you may want to personalize for this. Just one example. Let's say people are looking, again, this yoga example. Let's say that you are handling a yoga studio, and people are looking for free or cheap yoga classes in Paris. Why would you advertise for people that are looking for a free class? That's kind of no sense, no? But think about it. Maybe they are just willing to pay a little, not a full price, but a little. So what you want to do if you want to acquire these people and maybe retain them, you may want to provide a landing page customized with a discount coupon when they land on the page. And this may sound enough appealing to them so that they give it a try to your offer. I don't know, I have the time for a second example? Yep, okay. Another example of web personalization is a few years back, so it was cutting edge at this, 5 years ago, something like this. It was a lawyer company in New York, and they had, it was quite a big firm, so they had like divorce lawyers, immigration lawyers, and you could see like plenty of ads in the subway in New York, get your visa and stuff like this, things we don't have the right to do in France. And it was crazy, because when you typed in Google something like divorce lawyer services, you would land on the same website, and the navigation menu would provide you a completely different experience. It would offer you a consultation with a divorce lawyer. You would have a sidebar module telling you that you have plenty of resources about divorce conflicts. And if you typed in immigration lawyer, well, this would be the same site, but with a different menu. Well, the copy would be different, the sidebar module would be different. And so clearly, well, a person, put yourself in the shoes of a visitor looking for a divorce lawyer or an immigration lawyer, it would help convert towards conversions. So, next set of things you can use to personalize your website is UTM parameters. Do you use UTM parameters? Please raise your hand. Okay. So I'll just briefly explain that. So, well, basically UTM parameters, if I take an example, if you are doing email marketing and you want to have analytics data on your links, you just tag your links this way. adding UTM campaign, UTM medium, etc. And you can retrieve, you can know what newsletter has the best performance and what newsletter leads you to conversions and stuff like this. So if you don't know about UTM parameters, you can check Google URL Builder out, and it's quite straightforward. So I'll just take an example on how to use UTM parameters now. Let's take back our example of a startup, Fubot, I work with, and they have this this generic homepage, Meet Your Air Guru, and this product is all about indoor air quality. So it monitors the quality of in your home and indoor. So now there are very many different types of audience. You have like geeks who love the concept. You would have people who are obsessed with productivity, maybe. You have obviously people that are interested in health. And so let's say that we had published a post on Facebook about asthma. So a lot related with breathing and the quality of the air. And so you may just want to personalize. If people would click on this post on Facebook, you can see the UTM content asthma up there. And if you detect that with a personalization campaign, you would just change the headline of the homepage. So instead of reading, you click on something, a picture and a post on Facebook about asthma, and instead of seeing Meet Your Good Air Guru, you would see Get an Asthma-Free Home, which is a small difference maybe in terms of effort to build this, but this build a first impression that is, okay, this is what I need, so I'm going to read the rest of the web page instead of bouncing. So this is UTM parameters. In the same style, you have visitor source. If you're still on Facebook, or visitors are on Facebook, and they see a post that heads to your website, they click, they arrive on your website. What happens? There is a Facebook tab, and right next to it, your website. So what can you do with that? It just means that you're one tab away from Facebook. So you're more likely to get a like or a share than from people coming from Google or any other source. So you can leverage that and provide, if you provide a nice incentive, get a share, get a like. If this is really what you want to have, shares or likes, this is interesting to focus on this specific segment. For example, you can provide a 20% discount code only for these people coming from Facebook, for your next event, for your product, service, whatever. Just be smart and don't offer to share for something that is not valuable. This has to provide value. Another way to use that is for referrals, actually. We were talking about referrals. I remember Oli Gardner from Unbounce, the landing page tool. He hosted, he talked in a webinar hosted by Kissmetrics, and he offered a 50% discount for 3 months, so it was pretty nice as a discount, and with a link. So when people just click on the link, what would happen? They would land on Unbounce site with the Unbounce logo and the Kissmetric logo and the big the discount offer in big bold letters. So this is nothing to build, but in half a second, people would know that they landed on the right page and they were looking for the discount, and they know they have it. They don't have to search for it for 10 minutes on the website. So that is a kind of small thing that helps with conversion at the end of the day. Geolocation, it's kind of the most emblematic way to personalize websites, so I won't detail it a lot. Just a few examples of it. If you market your product or service in the US, and this is, relevant, here in Europe we are crazy about Christmas time, okay? Over there they are crazy too about Thanksgiving. So if you detect that these people are from the US and your product is a good idea for Thanksgiving, it's easy to well, it's a nice way to personalize. Pizza. If you sell pizza, tell it to people that are browsing your site and who are located just within a short distance of your pizza store or within delivery in the delivery circle. Well, you know, people when they browse your site, they never know if you are 10 kilometers away, 100 kilometers away, or 200 meters away. So just tell them. In the same kind of thing, think about Uber. Uber for a long time was only in Paris. So what happens for a guy from Marseille who goes to the Uber site and say, okay, I want to try Uber, I've seen it on TV, they are putting a mess and I hate the taxis. So I want to try Uber. Okay, there was no Uber in Marseille at the time. So what happens? Go back, we have no service in Marseille? No, just detect that these people come from Marseille and just offer them an opt-in form to collect their emails and offer them to tell them when it's ready in Marseille. And so when they will launch in Marseille, well, they already launched, but when they will launch in Marseille, they will already have a database to mail to. Well, by the way, this is a campaign we launched for a tire company. So they sell tires. And this header bar is offering to buy winter tires for winter tires. So in France, that would be totally irrelevant to offer winter tires for every French visitors because there is no snow in most of the French areas. So this is a simple personalization campaign, and only for cities in the Alps where it snows, when the temperature is under 2 or 3 Celsius degrees, then the header bar would show up. So this way, it's relevant. And last tip, forms. So we probably all have forms on our website. And we can use some fields in our form, like type of business, who are you, which kind of prospect are you, are so important that when people, visitors, anonymous visitors, make an effort to fill that form field, well, just store it in a cookie and use it for the time they come back so that you don't provide them a generic experience, but you offer only the content that may interest them. So always put forward the relevant content. Just as an example, I used it for a tire company, let's say, and they were doing a maintenance offer, well, something like 20 euros on car maintenance for your car. So it was quite generic, well, like you see all the time. And it happened that a portion of the visitors, engaged visitors, already had filled what type of cars they have. So instead of saying, we offer 20 euros on your car maintenance, well, you could say something simple like, do you love your BMW i3 blah, blah, blah? Well, do you love your Audi A1? Do you love your Peugeot 207? Well, we offer 20 euros on car maintenance, and we know everything about Peugeot 207. So simple, just copy, but this has a real impact on conversion rate. And to finish, just a final word, a final quote I like. Just think about separating the signal from the stream. It's all about this. We all think about acquisition, but if you take your existing traffic and treat it as if there were a salesman to accompany and only help to give them what they want and not the generic offer, it helps a lot, both the user and your conversions. So that's it. And thank you. Yes, the presentation will be on SlideShare, and if you have any question, well.
About the home customization, How do you do it? It's only with UTM parameters, or is there any possibilities to
About the homepage?
the landing page that you say you will customize for a user or company?
Uh-huh. Yep.
With the the houses example.
Yeah. It's just with you have two options here. Either you create many landing page. So I mean, for example, one post on Facebook, one landing page. Yeah, but it's super time consuming. So in this case, you want to use some features like it's often called in HubSpot and Unbound. It's called like dynamic text, something like this. And so this text adapt differently, and it changes differently based on parameters. So you can say that if there is a word asthma, then in this case the headline would be so. If there is this keyword, then the headline would be version B. And if there is this keyword, so this way you have one landing page, but with small tweaks, it allows you to cover many topics. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, and one other thing, there is a time where we can get the keyword from Google the user was using.
Mm-hmm.
You say it is no more possible?
Well, no, Google, I think that Matt Cut from Google clearly said that we're heading towards this is called keywords not provided, because this displays in this way in Google Analytics. It's not provided by Google, and more we're heading towards zero keyword provided. But at this time, depending on the site, it's not always the same proportion. But I think that 5 to 10, 12% may be still provided and available. So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. I have a very naive question about the UTM parameters.
Uh-huh.
Does it mean that the visitors concerned about asthma, if he comes back to your website the day after maybe, he will see a different proposition, a different offer landing page? And if so, is it a problem? Do you consider it a problem that the brand experience is now very atomized, very vague, that each time I come back to the website, it's a different offer?
Okay, interesting question, thank you. Well, that's why when I use both optimization tool, personalization tool, and cookies, because if you think it's important enough that you want to repeat the experience when the user come back, and in this case, if a person is interested by asthma, there's not many chance that she would be interested by productivity or it's very different kind of interest. So in this case, I would store the value in a cookie, and when the person come back, well, it goes along. Well, it just reads the cookie's values. If there is no value defined because the cookie were removed or erased, then it would provide the generic experience, like for any site when you remove cookies. But it would read cookies so that the same experience and the same messages are provided by the site each time. And it depends on your site whether or not it's important to show a different experience each time.
So, hi. So I have a question. I want to talk about a round of your personalization webs. I think for me it's similar to user journey in Personalize. If you explain that, okay, to get some users, you can use cookie and whatever you want, but some user experience people or user designer, UX designer, can imagine some scenario to, okay, if I have some Personalize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can get some image, picture, or formula. It's possible to imagine, create a scenario, and you can use some like a mix Personalize web and UX design to make some user journey.
I see what you mean. Actually, yes, you're talking about building complex scenarios for providing a super tailored personalization experience, right? Yes. Actually, this is not really the topic of this talk, because this is straightforward and simple stuff you can and segmentation criteria that you can use. There is other tools that can provide anything you want to automate and personalize. They can do it. Basically you just have to combine simple segmentation criteria together, and you can build whatever scenario you want. So if he comes the first time from AdWords typing this keyword, and the second time from Facebook clicking on this link with UTM parameters, then I will show him this headline message. Well, yes, this is possible. But
the last thing. So, if for example, okay, and I use your systems, I can use UTM of different aspects of your strategy to synchronize, say, CRM marketing tools and then personal, because I have some data. How can make segmentation and introduce every data on how is my CRM, for example?
You can use CRM data for sure, though. Well, in the screenshot, I don't think we saw it, but it's definitely a criteria for segmentation. Well, so basically it's and or condition. If CRM segmentation, this value is equal to I don't know, responsible for marketing, and this UTM parameter is well, actually this is not UTM parameter. If a text string is present in the URL, then my segment is defined. It's just and or conditions. So you can do whatever you want. It depends on your specific cases, and if you want, we can talk more in details about your specific needs afterwards. Any more questions, guys? Yep.
Excusez-moi, je vais parler en français.
Mm-hmm.
Du coup, vu qu'on est dans la personnalisation maximale de l'expérience utilisateur, est-ce que vous pensez que le fait de, pour un site, proposer en fait de se créer un profil directement en visitant le site en fait pour pouvoir continuer l'expérience utilisateur, est-ce que ça peut être une bonne solution ou est-ce que c'est un problème pour l'utilisateur, ou est-ce qu'effectivement ce serait une bonne solution?
I think is it okay for you if I answer in English for everyone? Ouais. So yes, well, actually, in my dream world, everyone would fill a form on their first visit, so I could know exactly who they are, what they are looking for, and actually, you don't need personalization if all these visitors are engaged in such a way. You see what I mean? So you don't need personalization if everyone is willing to fill a form on your website on their first visit. But the reality is that you still have a 60%, a 40%, an 80% bounce rate. That means that most of the people come to your site once and they never come back. So yeah, I think that answers your question. But if I just take your question again, you can throw up you can throw a survey, a pop-up survey along within the visit. So if you want to know more, because if all the visitors are anonymous and you definitely need to know more about them, you can use a survey using Wufoo, for example, or SurveyMonkey. They provide a great form tools, and they can you can just build a survey and ask them who they are. You have just 2 or 3 questions maximum, and then you can store this in cookies for the next visit. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for coming. And I think this is